Yes, I've got about that. Right, I'll start again. Right. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being here. My apologies for being late. I was on the bus, and it's not the bus's fault. It was, I don't know, every man and his dog was on the road today. So, good afternoon, Councillor Chowdhury.
Good afternoon to you. Sorry for delay.
That's right. I've only just got you in front of you. Okay, I was late as well. So, welcome to everybody from the public. I think it'd be a good idea if you went round the table, introduce ourselves. Do you want to start, Councillor Chowdhury?
Yes, Councillor Chowdhury, and I'm representing from Charles Dickens Ward from the Labour Party.
Lynn Stagg, Cabinet Member for Traffic and Transportation, Baffin's Ward.
Joanne Moore-Smith, Democratic Services.
Pam Turton, Assistant Director Transport. Felicity Tidbury, Transport Planning Manager.
Nikki Musson, Transport Planning Team.
Oliver Wilcox, Transport Intelligence and Analysis Officer.
Michelle Love, Safer Travel Manager.
Paul Darlow, Traffic and Network Manager.
Wayne Layton, Finance Manager.
To start, I'll read you some housekeeping things. Housekeeping safety information. If the continuous fire alarm sounds, please evacuate the room and public gallery and by the stairwells. Do not attempt to use the lifts. And contrary to what we normally do, we don't assemble by the Queen Victoria statue, but it's around the back of the building, in front of the King Henry building at the end of King Henry Street. So it's at the back here. Okay. I mean, all of you know, but the public might not. In order to comply with the Portsmouth Cultural Trust fire marshal regulations, anyone who signed in at the Guildhall reception desk should remember to sign up when leaving the building after today's meeting. May I draw everyone's attention to the fact that this meeting will be live streamed, filmed from a camera at a fixed location at the back of the meeting room, and the recording will be on the Council's website. The camera will mainly capture the backs of anyone making deputations, but there will be some footage of them as they approach and leave the table where the microphones are located, and of people entering or leaving the room while the meeting is in progress. Members of the press and public are also permitted to record the meeting on the understanding that it neither disrupts the meeting nor records those stating explicitly that they do not wish to be recorded. Please can everyone use the microphones provided when they are speaking. And I should have done the introductions then, but never mind, I've done it now. Is anybody making a deputation? Right, would you like to come and sit at the table rather than being miles away? Right, have we got any apologies, Joanne?
No, I haven't had any apologies for absence.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any declarations of interest, Councillor Chowdhury?
No.
Thank you. I don't think I do either. I've got to be careful in case I have on these occasions, but I don't think so. So, we'll go straight on then to item number 3, which is TRO 78B. Parking proposals, Herbert Road, Minstead Road, St Peter's Grove, St George's Road, Eastney. And you can introduce that, Felicity. Thank you.
Thank you. So this item is for TRO 78B 2018, which is various parking restrictions. So a number of proposals relating to parking restrictions are put forward throughout each year via traffic regulation orders in response to concerns about road safety or traffic management, or to accommodate an identified need. These are received from residents, councillors, emergency services and public services, for example. When objections are received to the Council's proposals, a report to the Cabinet Member is required for a decision to be made at a public meeting. During the statutory 21-day public consultation on proposals under TRO 78B 2018, objections were received to the 4 of the proposals. These relate to Herbert Road, Minstead Road, St Peter's Grove and St George's Road in Eastney. Full details are contained within the report. So to summarise, the report carries the following recommendations. The first, that the doctor parking bay proposed for Herbert Road is not implemented. This is due to the nature of the objections received, and that the preliminary EIA highlighted a negative impact on disabled, older and pregnant persons in terms of accessing the doctor's surgery, care home and unwell residents of Herbert Road. The parking space would become unavailable for general use, either when the doctor's car is parked there or when it's left empty outside of the visiting hours. The second, that a decision on the proposed part-term parking in Minstead Road is deferred to enable further discussions with residents and councillors. The consultation on the proposal received a mixed response that requires further investigation and engagement with local people. The third, that 5 metres of the proposed 7-metre double yellow lines is approved for St Peter's Grove outside the entrance to Elm Lodge. Due to the objection received, a compromise has been recommended to minimise the impact on street parking. And lastly, that the proposed reduction of double yellow lines in St George's Road is implemented. The proposed reduction of double yellow lines north of the junction with Marine Court by 10 metres leaves nearly 30 metres of restriction in place. The width of the carriageway available to traffic will remain the same. Thank you.
Thank you. And is it to any of these that you are making deputations?
Yes, please, Councillor. Mike Forbes, and I want to add to my statement regarding the Doctors' Bay and Herbert Road.
Right. Is yours about the Doctors' Bay?
Oh, this virus is making my ears blocked up.
Are you making a deputation about the Doctors' Bay?
No, it's St Peter's Road.
Okay, so we'll start with. Sorry, what's your name?
Mr.
Forbes.
Where's the list? Have I got a list anywhere? Oh, right, okay. I have got that. Yes, sorry. My apologies. Yes, Mr. Forbes, would you like to, you have 6 minutes?
Oh, I won't need that, Councillor. I just wanted to add a couple of points to the objection I made. And the first one is that, of course, this doctor's surgery does not stand alone. It is a group practice and is in conjunction with a practice at Salisbury Road. Now, if the doctors are requiring, as they say here, on-call doctors to reach patients more quickly, then of course they're quite at liberty to use the Salisbury Road facility, which has ample parking. I think I counted about 8 parking spaces there. So they could operate it as a management function of the business. They could operate this quite solely. So I just don't see why they need that bay. And secondly, following on from that, I've noticed that the doctors actually commute quite a bit backwards and forwards between Waverley Road and Salisbury Road and use that space, of course, as a convenience. Now, I might suggest that they follow their own advice and use a bicycle, because it's not very far, and indeed that's the advice they're always asking me to do, is get on your bicycle, get some exercise. So I just wanted to add a couple of points to that, but the others I've already made, and that's in the statement. Thank you for the opportunity, Councillor.
Thank you, Mr. Forbes. Nikki, have you got any comments to make? We talked about, didn't we, about possibly moving that disabled bay for the doctors?
Only that it came up in the Equalities Impact Assessment that the closest parking space to the surgery would obviously be taken up by this doctor's bay. And to get around that would be possibly be able to move it back a space so that it's not necessarily the closest one to the surgery.
Thank you. That would satisfy one of the people who, at least one of the people who's written in support, who's disabled and would like to, is actually in support of the doctor's bay being close to the surgery. Yes? I think it's a resident of Marion Road.
I think
Marion Road.
Marion Road. I think
Sorry.
She's made that point so that the doctor can get to her more
Yes.
quickly rather
Yes,
than
yeah. Well, I think when we first discussed it, we had a meeting with Dr. Moore, didn't we? And we came up with a compromise because there were originally 2 marked bays, weren't there? They weren't enforceable, but I thought there were 2 originally. Oh, right, my mistake. I don't know why.
It's just that because the bay markings were so faded, it looked almost like there were 2 words, doctor, but it was only 1 bay.
But this seemed to compromise because being available for the doctors until 6 o'clock, it still left it free then for residents after that time. And there are quite a few doctors there who, a lot of their patients are in the surrounding residential homes, so they're frequently called out, and to come back and then not have a parking space It seemed. Well, you've had your deputation and you're allowed the 6 minutes and that's all. Sorry.
Councillor, I'm not aware of this in the paperwork, so I need to object to what is being said, because I'm not being made aware of it, so that's unfair.
Sorry, made aware of what?
This meeting that you had.
Well, this was a meeting we had with Dr. Moore to discuss several things, and this happened to be one of them. And this is where we got the background for the information.
Did Dr. Moore perhaps mention that he lives in a flat above the surgery, and indeed, after hours, he'll be parking his car there?
Pardon? No, that we can't go into the personal information about that. I think that the point was, Dr. Moore has said he's got his own parking space. He's not concerned about that, but it's for the remainder of the doctors, isn't there? I think there are 5 doctors, I think, there, who are in and out, obviously, because he says he's done a written deputation, and he says in this written deputation, contrary to popular belief, GPs do still carry out home visits. While we are not in the numbers done historically, these are not in the numbers done historically, as a practice with a high proportion of elderly frail residents registered with us, given our catchment area in the south of the city, we are often asked to visit patients in their own homes. So I feel that it's a compromise to have that parking bay up until 6 p.m. For the number of doctors who are there, and then it is free for residents. And I think Nicky's suggestion of moving it back, I mean, that's something we haven't discussed with anybody, but it would mean that there was a parking space available. That was the idea, wasn't it? Parking space available right outside the doctor's surgery for residents, for patients who may have mobility problems.
Yeah, just that. It wouldn't take up the closest parking space to the surgery entrance. Yeah.
As part of a compromise, Councillor, why not make that bay a disabled bay, and that will then solve the problem?
Can we do that at this stage, or should we defer this and come back to it?
If you wanted to propose a disabled bay instead of a doctored bay, then we would need to reconsult under a new TRA.
But not all patients who have some mobility problems are necessarily eligible for disability, blue badges, are they?
It would preclude the doctors from parking there, and then it would reserve it for disabled use. Yeah.
So I am tempted to say we will go along with this, but move the parking bay one place. I don't know whether it's to the left or right, but out of the way, so that there is a space outside the doctor's surgery. Does that sound? That's possible. Is that all right with you, Pam? And residents still have that parking space from 6 p.m. until 8 a.m. the following morning, which I think is a fair compromise. I think if it had been a different setup, but as there are so many doctors there, as you say, it is a group practice,
yes.
And people are in that, and because of the area. But I can't let you go any further, Mr. Forbes. I appreciate what you're saying, but I think there are two sides, and as I say, it's a happy compromise. So
yes, but it does occur to me that you've had a meeting with one of the proposers, but you haven't had a meeting with the objectors, so that's undemocratic.
Can I say we had a meeting with Mr. Dr. Moore on several issues. This is not about this. This is one thing that came up, and that is not relevant to this particular.
Had I known that you'd had that meeting, I'd have requested a meeting with you myself. And indeed, I feel rather on the back foot because I haven't had the benefit, as you have, of the.
Well, if I tell you that the meeting was about something entirely different, and it was only in the course of that discussion that it came up about this particular parking bay, that was entirely separate from this. It was not giving him an extra chance to talk about. He's done a written deputation. This was about something entirely different, which we are allowed to do, and it's not taking his word against anybody else's. It was just in the conversation, and in my opinion, it's a happy compromise. And the recommendation of the officers is to refuse it.
Yes.
But it's my recommendation that we accept it because it's a compromise.
I don't see that as a compromise. The compromise is halfway. The halfway solution would be to make that bay a disabled bay.
Mr. Forbes, under the rules of the meetings, as a deputy, you're allowed 6 minutes, and I've given you considerably more than 6 minutes. And I have to actually consult with Councillor Chowdhury as well.
Yes, I'm watching this because this gentleman, we do respect your deputation given the written, and as we know that we allow only 6 minutes, and after that there is no chance to talk, but our chair given more facility to put your comment forward, and we listen what you're trying to achieve. We understand, but Dr. GP are very, very busy nowadays, lot of pressure putting by the government. They have to go anytime out and come in to see the patient. And as a community representative, I completely recommend the doctor deputation because he had to look after the patient, and I cannot compromise on that. That's all.
Can I just add that there are a few people in support. It's not just Dr. Moore. There's residents and patients.
Didn't notice any in Herbert Road.
Thank you. That's my decision. And
Well, I'm disappointed, Councillor, and I don't think it's been very democratic, and I want that recorded. And I'll just say goodbye to you.
Goodbye, Mr. Moore. Thank you for coming here. Right. Next one is Minstead Road, is it? Pardon?
The other deputation is on St Peter's Road. After that, Mrs Humphreys.
Oh, right. I'm sorry. I thought people... Yes, yeah. My apologies. Yes, you're doing a deputation, St Peter's Grove, yes. Right. Minstead Road was the next one on.
Yeah, Mrs Humphreys is here to speak about St Peter's Grove, I think.
Right.
So.
I misunderstood that. Right, Mrs Humphreys.
These weren't here last time I came. Elm Lodge is a small block of 5 flats, and at the back of the building we have a designated parking space for each building. One of my neighbours goes out to work every day in his car. Another neighbour mostly walks to work, but sometimes he has to use his car because he's probably going off-site visits, so we need to be able to get in and out easily. If you turn to page 7, the photograph at the top of the page shows the entrance to our building. Now, sorry, where those white lines go, that is a perfect space for us to be able to turn in. If you bring it any closer, and sometimes we get motorhomes and vans parked there, I particularly being small, can't see over the top or round, and we need to be able to get out and ease our way out so we can not have the front of our car bashed off by something coming down St Peter's Grove. The distance there, if you use that for double yellow lines, you don't have to mess about with parking bays. And as I see it, they're talking about reducing it, the objection talked about reducing it by 2 metres. I can't see that's going to make any difference. As it stands, to the south of that, you've got room for 3 cars to park. That's on the right-hand side of this picture. And to the north, I don't really look that way often. I usually go south to do my shopping. But there's enough room for several cars to park. So I'd be very grateful if you would consider keeping that amount of my entrance marking, so it makes it much easier for us to get in and out. Also, a good swinging, a turning circle to get in, because because that's a narrow entrance, you have to really get straight on. And one of my neighbours got a very big car.
Thank you. Nikki, I should have asked you first, shouldn't I, to introduce it? Can you?
That's fine because it's part of TRO 78, so Felicity's done the introduction.
Right. Okay.
So that's fine. But if I just respond, obviously we've heard Mrs. Humphrey's comments about exiting that parking area. The reason we put forward the proposal is that obviously if vehicles can't get out of there, then there's 5 or 6 cars there that are putting extra pressure on the on-street parking. Now we did advertise 7 metres of double yellow lines, and so therefore you are in a position to approve the originally advertised 7 metres, if you're minded.
But wasn't your recommendation to reduce it to 5?
The recommendation was a compromise based on the injection we had,
Right.
but we're talking about 2 metres, so it's not a parking space. And if that original length will make it easier to get in and out, we can do that.
That seems fine to me. So, thank you very much. We've listened to you. We agree with you, and we'll keep it at 7 metres.
I'd just like to say I'm sorry that I couldn't respond, but I've been ill most of the year.
I hope you're better soon.
You've got the other 2 recommendations on that report.
That's Minstead Road, yes? No?
Yes, yeah, Minstead, St George's.
Yes, yeah. Right.
Are you happy with the other 2 recommendations as they stand? You've amended to...
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm being particularly thick, aren't I? Yes.
Okay.
So what are we on to now? Oh, so, yeah, we've done all those.
Okay,
That's fine.
Alloway Avenue.
Yes,
Item
yeah,
4.
just wanted to say, Mr. Road, that's being deferred, yes, and I think that's a sensible thing to do. So, now we're on to Alloway Avenue, yes. And Ollie, is it you introducing this? Oh, so Paul. Come on, Paul. Thank you.
Good afternoon. The purpose of this report is to consider the construction of a new zebra crossing in Alloway Avenue and also an uncontrolled crossing point to do some additional works to create a new uncontrolled crossing point as well. The background behind this is that Alloway Avenue is a major road through Paulsgrove, and there's a school was previously on the site along the road, which was the King Richard School. That school has been rebuilt east of the original site and has now become Castleview Academy. That new school site opened in September 2017 and didn't have associated safe crossing point alongside, adjacent to the school. There's been reports from the ward councillors and the local community with concerns about the safety of child pedestrians accessing the new school site. Investigations were undertaken and showed that the actual new school entrance is actually quite close to an existing uncontrolled crossing point, but that was not being used properly, nor did it have the capacity, and there was reports of large numbers of children crossing between parked cars, obviously quite a hazardous situation. So there's a proposal to establish a new zebra crossing at the existing uncontrolled crossing point, and then to do a build out further along the road to another location to create an uncontrolled crossing point further down the road. So there'll effectively be 2 crossing facilities. The consultation was undertaken as part of Portsmouth City Council Alloway Avenue Zebra Crossing Traffic Calming and Amendments to Waiting Restrictions number 63, Order 2018. And that was notice was given that the council proposes to make the order under sections 1 to 4 and 23 of the Road Traffic Regulation Act 1984 to install traffic calming measures in accordance with the Highways Traffic Calming Regulations 1999 and the Highways Road Humps Regulations 1999. The individual items that would be included in that are the footway extension and build out to make the uncontrolled crossing point, to raise a zebra crossing with footway extensions, which would slow traffic speeds and increase safety, change of the bus stop in that location to no waiting at any time to install double yellow lines, which actually would accommodate the white zigzag markings for the zebra crossing, and to establish a no waiting at any time double yellow lines either side of the new crossing, which is a 3 metre length outside of number 282 Alloway Avenue, and a 4 metre length outside number 280. That was published. There was a 21-day consultation period took place between 10th of July 2018 and 30th of July 2018, and 3 responses were received, all of which were objections. The Port Cycle Forum made an objection of the impact to cyclists. That was subsequently withdrawn, and there was 2 objections from residents. First objection was in relation to reduction of parking by creating the zebra crossing, and the second objection from a resident was also about parking, but particularly in relation to their potential future requirement to apply for a drop curb to be installed. We reviewed that, the PFI network coordination team reviewed that situation and actually advised that the application for a drop curb in that location would be unlikely to be successful anyway, due to a tree and a root protection area in that vicinity.
Is there anything that can be done to help? I mean, I can appreciate the difficulty with the care home. I mean, if they have to be, called out late at night, if you have got parking there, is there anything that can be done?
I mean, there is parking obviously in that area, and it's actually the private residence of the manager of the care home, rather than the care home itself.
Right.
So it's just the resident who lives there is the manager of the care home.
Makes a slight difference then,
yes.
I think, doesn't it? Yes. I mean, I think, it does make me laugh, parking, I must admit. Parking as opposed to the safety of children, large number of children in school, to me that's a no-brainer. I appreciate, I know what parking's like. That's why I come on the bus, because when I go home I have nowhere to park. So, but you don't put children's safety at risk for that. So, I think it's former Councillor Stuart Potter who initiated this, I think, and he's been chasing me up anyway to see how it was going. So he'd be very pleased, and I'm happy. What about you? Yeah.
Yes, we did discuss on this matter, I think, in the review meeting regards to that, and safety is very important for the school children, and I always, for the safety concern, I go for the school, which is we should do that before we consider anything else.
Yes, I'm happy that that goes forward. More than happy. Thank you, Paul. And what's the next one? Oh, the Francis Avenue, yes. Is that you, Ollie?
Michelle.
Oh, Michelle, right, because I know that Ollie was in at the beginning. So
He's my
thank you.
glamorous assistant.
Pardon?
He's my glamorous assistant.
Oh, right. Oh, he's also the one who wants to have a statue of himself put up
Yeah, that's the one.
at the top of Francis Avenue, because
Yeah.
it's a bit of a boring place there.
Yeah.
He thought it would be a good place for
We've included
a
that in the
statue of him.
budget.
He's
Yeah.
blushing, I'm glad.
be an idea.
So we get it cast out of bronze like Charles Dickens.
Okay. Okay. I'll just clarify, there is no budget.
Finance is having kittens in the corner. Okay. So the report that we're bringing is the speed reduction measures on Francis Avenue, and the purpose of the report is to obviously consider the responses that we've received from the public consultation about implementing traffic calming measures. The reason that we put this forward to public consultation is that the area, Francis Avenue, is the highest 20 mile an hour speed limit area yet to receive engineered measures. So the radar survey demonstrated that the 85th percentile speed is 29 miles an hour, and 66% of the drivers recorded travelled over 24 miles an hour. Within the 5-year period between February 2012 and February 2017, there were 19 collisions occurring on this road, with clusters of accidents at Jesse Road, Devonshire Square and Delamere Road junctions. So the contributing factors were related to speed, excessive speed and vehicles approaching that failed to judge other vehicles' speed. There was a first consultation that elicited 60 responses and 78% of those were in favour. But one of the overriding responses was that they wanted the scheme to be extended for the length of the road. So a second consultation went out and 80% of those responses were in favour. The responses that weren't in favour, there was no clear trend as to why they weren't in favour. So there were some responses about use of council resources and things like that, but no clear reason why they would be responding. So the recommendations are that we install the scheme, and it's going to be 2 raised tables to the north and south of the junctions of Francis Avenue, so the junctions of Jesse Road and Devonshire Square, and this will obviously take into account the area where the infant and junior school is, and the school crossing patrol area, and 6 pairs of speed cushions between the Francis Avenue junctions with Devonshire Square and Albert Road to extend it along the road as the results of the first consultation requested.
Thank you. I know that road really well because two of my grandchildren used to go to school there to take them and pick them up, and it's a nightmare. An absolute nightmare of a road. So I think, and this has been done in consultation with ward councillors, isn't it? Because I know you've revised it several times because, and I mean the objections, I don't really stand up, do they? Bad for cars. I'm sure if you do go speeding along speed humps, it is bad for the car suspension. But if you don't, then it isn't. So, and I think again, it comes down to safety of kids over car suspension, far more important. So. I'm more than happy to see this going through. Oh, sorry. My apologies, Yaya. I was in the world of my own.
Yes, not a problem. It's busy life. However, I understand this. The 19 collision, 19 accident happened so far, but it is very long road. We need to do something, and also there is very much people supporting on this area, so we should go for the recommendation.
Yes, you're right. There's great support for it. Yeah, lovely, great. Thank you. How long will it take to be done?
As soon as we can program it in. So we'll sit down with COLAS and the network team and work out when will be the best time to get it in.
Okay, lovely. Thank you. That's it, I think, isn't it? Good. Thank you all very much.